his Michigan State film from 2021 is some of the most insane QB play I've ever seen.
You won't see better QB play that year in the Big Ten.
No. I think that's the best game anyone played that year. All right, now we're going to move into the offensive side of the ball, which is going to be a little bit shorter segment. I'd say it's probably going to be about 8 guys where we have a lot to say, and then after that, not much.
I don't know about 8 either.
Yeah, maybe 5. But so I get to start this one off?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I think if we're just talking about NFL potential, proven guys, Eric All is number 1 on my board.
NFL and going to have a big year too. Just in terms of production and the chance to be in all Big Ten. And
he's going to fit into that. It's kind of an obvious comparison, but Noah Fant.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Noah Fant, Brian Ferentz had his guy where he could create mismatches in a very easy manner.
Right.
And I see him being the guy where we run those hide routes, where we run the zero route to the end zone. He's going to probably score 4 or 5 touchdowns on zero routes this year.
Yeah.
Remember, there's a clip from him last year or 2 years ago playing Penn State. And you really get to see the speed. I think it's the guy guarding him falls down and he gets on the edge.
Yeah, it's kind of like a pick play.
Yeah, and he goes for 40, and there's a Penn State DB chasing him, and there's no gap at all that's covered.
Right.
So if I did project it, I bet he's probably going to run a low 4.5, maybe mid 4.5.
Yeah, I think 4.5 is safe too.
So he's going to be in that that Kittle, Laporta, Font range of times. That's going to likely lead to a second round draft pick at worst.
Yeah, and was Cade's top 2-3 target when he's at Michigan? I think that
definitely a safety blanket.
That chemistry they have and the trust he already has with them.
Yeah.
When Cade comes into certain plays, he's gonna be like, all right, I know I got all here and it's gonna be a good outcome.
Yeah.
And that's, as a quarterback, we saw it with Beathard and Kittle. We saw it with Petrus and his tight ends this year. Unfortunately, he wouldn't look at his receivers. I think in a better way,
throw it to.
Yeah, but I think in a better way, Cade, knowing coming into every play, he knows where all is going to be, and he's going to trust and be open. So I think he was my first pick too. I think that was
an obvious one.
Yeah. I think the NFL part of it too. Iowa's ability to develop tight ends, his pedigree he has with production. I think it has. He is the number one option on our offense, and
I haven't seen him a lot. I mean, I haven't. The only highlights I've seen is in the passing game. I don't know if he's a dominant run blocker. I haven't seen anything from anyone about his run blocking prowess. But if you're going to start for Michigan, it's a power run team. I don't think they're going to throw you on the field a lot if you're not good at running. I think he was an every down tight end. I know Shoemaker McKean, or however you say his name, was another guy that played a lot. But I think safety is going to be at least average in that department.
Yeah.
Who do you got for number 2?
I think it already becomes difficult, for how I view it.
Yeah.
I think if you're looking at NFL, you have to go Lachey, right?
For highest pick?
For my highest pick, yeah. Just for, I think, what he's going to produce at Iowa.
Yeah.
His chance of becoming all Big Ten. And then Iowa's pedigree of tight ends. And his makeup. I think Iowa kind of cracked the code on tight ends. And I think the rest of my picks for this and the recruits, I think Iowa really knows what they want in tight end.
Yeah.
You want a big athlete who can move and play basketball, jumps 40 inches, and you can put 40 pounds on.
Yeah.
Lachey, his high school film is him playing cornerback for 6'7". And right when I saw that, I think I texted you. I'm like, this guy's going to be incredible. I don't think he's lived up to those expectations I've had, but he sat behind.
You came in at really high expectations.
Right.
Beat out a couple guys that we thought were pretty good players.
Yep.
Who else? He had
Yelverton in his class. And
Josiah Meeman too.
Yeah, we liked Meeman a lot.
Yeah.
And I think having Laporta ahead of him, he never really got that, the true game plan.
Yeah.
But I fully expect him when he's the center point of the offense, even after maybe all leaves.
Yeah.
Or this year, where they could be a true Font and Hawkins type combo. His makeup for a tight end is ideal.
Yeah.
And I think we haven't seen him. I think the Nebraska game, he had his first flashes.
Yeah.
Iowa State game 2021, he had a really nice catch.
Yeah. But Nebraska's the first time he dominated in the game.
The first time we saw him make a play outside of the play.
Yeah.
Where you go, oh, that's 5 more yards than
you deserved.
Yeah, that's the NFL type plays.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to pick him second overall, my first pick, as a guy who's only done that in one game.
Yeah.
But he fits the mold of who could be the most productive and have the best
Yeah,
NFL
I
chance.
don't know if there's another guy out there on the team that is an obvious choice for an
There's
NFL
more
player.
exciting players, but
Yeah.
I think as a just fundamental what we're doing here,
Yeah.
that makes the most sense.
I will say that he, when he gets latched on to a safety or a corner, we've seen him run guys into the sideline and plant them.
Yeah.
On wall downs or outside zones, he has struggled. And granted, this is a guy, he was a redshirt sophomore last year.
Yeah. Was he a redshirt freshman?
No, he's redshirt sophomore. He's redshirt junior this year.
Wow.
But as a guy who, it's going to take a while for a tight end to develop those skills. It's just like there's grown men on the field, and if you're blocking at the end, he's going to be probably just as large and a little stronger than you. So we'll see how that develops this year. I don't think he's going to run exceptionally well in the 40.
Yeah,
but he's going to have to really develop as a blocker if he's going to be viewed in that light.
Yeah,
where he's going to be an obvious top 3 round pick.
That's a good point because he's not going to be. He could test out like a freak in the vertical and the broad jump though.
Yeah, but there's a lot of guys who test out like that tight end.
Right. But what did Hawkinson run in the 4.40?
4.7, I think.
So,
but Hawkinson was the best inline blocker.
That's what. Yeah. So that's kind of the thought. Like you have to be dominant because what Hawkinson got drafted high for is that he has that famous clip of him just killing the Indiana linebacker.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, that's a top 10 pick.
Yeah.
And Lachey's going to have to be able to do that. And Kittle, the same way that Kittle kind of broke through for Iowa tight ends. But if Kittle's coming through the program right now after he followed Fonten, Hawkinson, and Laporta, Kittle will be a first rounder.
Yeah.
It just kind of, everyone needs that awareness first of Iowa tight ends are dominant. And
Laporta certainly got that bump.
He did. And yeah, I think that Lachey could definitely
capitalize on that. Yeah, for
sure. This is when it's already like
there's no draft picks.
There's just no.
Yeah.
I'm going to draft a guy I've never seen play for Iowa or a position we've not put in the NFL in 15 years.
Running back or receiver?
Both. At least producers.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to go with something different. I'm going to go Cade.
Yeah.
I think the Purdy situation this year, that opens up an avenue for Cade to be an NFL quarterback. I think why he came to Iowa is to lead us to a Big Ten title, be productive at a place that has never had quarterback production.
Mm-hmm. At least since Bethany.
And if he leads us to, a BC or a
West title,
Big Ten title game, performs well in that, he knows what that will do. He's not going to go to SMU, go to some Houston, go light up for 4,000, 5,000 yards.
Yeah.
He knows that NFL GMs, the same way they drafted Beathard in the 3rd round, and other just winners at Big Ten programs, he knows that NFL, what they want is truly a winner.
Yeah.
So
it's
he
intangibles.
knows,
He's gonna, that's his way in his intangibles. It's not going to be numbers.
Leadership, you know, and we'll grab you in the 5th round, and maybe you pan out to be that Purdy type.
I think he's got a chance to get as high as the 4th, like a Stetson Bennett. But I mean, Stetson Bennett had an insane pedigree. Probably going to run faster than Cade would.
Yeah,
maybe a bigger arm than Cade.
I probably similar arms, if I had to guess, from what I've seen.
Probably. But again, Bryce Young. It's not like Bryce Young has at least physical ability that's far superior to Cade.
Yeah.
I'd say
they'd say the playmaking, like the agility, but
Cade has had those his Michigan State film from 2021 is some of the most insane QB play I've ever seen.
You won't see better QB play that year in the Big Ten.
No, I think that's the best game anyone played that year.
Yeah,
and I've watched that game back 6 or 7 times now. And every time I come away, I'm like, this guy could really do something here.
Right.
Like he's got something to him where you can't like put your finger on it.
Yeah. And I think, obviously I don't want to hint at future picks, but my biggest concern was Kate was not going to have the receivers to trust completely. And now we do have one.
Yeah.
At least
we have one.
Probably 2 tight ends and a receiver, but that trust your arm as he does, as you can see on his film. And now trust the receiver at the end of it. Yeah. That's kind of the big point for him. So I think I feel comfortable drafting him there because I don't think there's another for sure pick.
Yeah. I think that's 2 for you, right?
Yep.
So I'll go Caleb Brown after this. Obviously, he's a super highly talented recruit. From an Iowa football perspective, I can't think of a more impactful transfer recruit
shocking. Just overall,
the decision doesn't really make any sense at all.
No,
you're entering a QB room where our cornerback had more touchdowns than our leading receiver.
Yeah.
And granted, you had Spencer Petras. No hate on Spencer Petras. He was put into a horrible position. He had no O-line in front of him. He had walk-ons playing receiver, and we're asking him to throw on the run 35% of the time, 40% of the time,
Right.
which made no sense. And we've talked about this before. If you put Spencer Petras in 5-wide shotgun, and you say, hey, throw a 5-yard out from the slot, he probably has a decent season.
Yeah,
but
we saw it actually one time where he got to run hurry up against Northwestern. I know Northwestern's defense wasn't world beaters last year, but they ran 5 wide for a 2-minute drill. I think he went 5 of 6, went 70 yards, and scored in the last 2 minutes. And it looked like 1, 2, 3, ball out, on target, on time.
Yep.
And I was like, this is what he's good at.
Yeah.
But instead we're asking him to go under center and boot out on the run to one target. And that's just not what his skill set was. We kind of...
Well, and just the confidence wasn't there too. And that's no really fault of his own. They should have brought in a guy to play over top of him. He would have been a great backup quarterback, great team leader, seemed to be really well liked by the team. But
really nice.
Asking him to come from out underneath center, roll out, and throw a 5-yard out in front of a crowd that hates him was just, it was a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
And it played out. And we saw some of the most just insane Kinnick moments. Like we were at the Michigan game, and we were probably in our 3rd drive. And they threw
first quarter still.
First quarter, and
maybe second.
Spencer missed Brody on a 5-yard curl where he had 4 yards of space, and there was women standing up and screaming, like booing him and throwing their hands and everything. I was like, we both looked at each other like, oh no, this has gotten really bad. And to recover from that is virtually impossible. He played a lot better on the road. I mean, you think about his game at the Rutgers, he didn't play great. Purdue, he played pretty freaking well.
Game,
But when he got away from Kinnick is when he played well, because he didn't have, okay, if I throw one bad ball here,
10,000 boos.
You can't, your body's going to feel that no matter what. So, but getting back on topic here, Caleb Brown, he's the most dynamic. If you just go back and watch his high school film, that's all we have. He's one catch at Ohio State, oddly enough, against Iowa as a redshirt freshman. He only played 4 years, so he's going to come in as a redshirt freshman. But from what he can offer this team, I don't know if he's going to be a super polished receiver.
Yeah, that was my first
concern.
Why did you not see the field at Ohio State?
Well, that's an obvious point.
Yeah, but because you watch his high school film, you're like, this guy's just an incredible athlete. But then you start doing
who did he play over?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's a bad room not to break into. It's the hardest room in the country to break into.
Easily the hardest room.
Yeah,
it's over Alabama. They've had. I mean, you can
at the moment, but we don't know about the new crop.
Well, you can make a safe assumption it's going to be more first rounders.
Yeah.
So even if, say, I think there was someone pointing out that he got beat out this spring by a couple guys, but if those guys are first rounders one day, that's not the end of the world. He could be a 3rd or 4th rounder, but maybe fall a little later.
I had the same assumption that you did. Maybe not the crispest route runner. He played running back. His entire high school career, and then had transitioned to receiver.
He was so clean though.
Yeah.
That film of him cutting in and out, it looks like McCaffrey. Yeah. Like that's like the from an athletic perspective, just I have those horrible memories of being at the Rose Bowl and watching robot Christian McCaffrey run down the field.
He moves like him.
He moves exactly like him, and he's got strength behind it.
So we're saying he's me Christian McCaffrey.
I mean, that's the safest. That's the safest bet.
Going 4th on our team offensively.
But from his perspective of what Iowa football needed going into this season, you can't draw up a better scenario than getting a guy like Caleb Brown, where he can offer at least protection for Cade, where a defense has to think about playing press man or leaving a cornerback on an island.
Well, you can't just roll into the box and not blink.
Yeah,
that's when he first got signed. That was my first thought. Well, now Caleb Johnson in the run game.
Now you have some pieces. All's going to be a mismatch in man-to-man. Caleb Brown's going to be a mismatch in the man-to-man, at least against the lower tier West teams. Wisconsin might be able to guard him. A couple of the better other teams in the Big Ten might be able to guard him. But there's going to be some thoughts at least. It's not going to be lining up like, okay, is it going left or right?
Or Laporta.
Yeah. Like that was all we had last year. Maybe we'll throw it to Pottenbaum.
Yeah.
But I think we couldn't ask for a better scenario. And I don't know why he came to Iowa. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense unless Cade, said, hey, you're getting 60 targets next year.
Maybe not 60, but maybe 40.
40.
Yeah.
He's getting 65.
Yeah.
He's not catching them all. But I think I think he has a chance for a huge season. And just from athleticism alone, from what we've seen from tape, he's going to have a chance in the NFL.
Yeah.
Going after that, I think the next choice is obvious. Caleb Johnson.
Yep.
Probably the best back easily the best back since Sean Green.
Yeah.
Just from stepping in as a freshman and being able to house things from 60 yards out.
Yeah, it's not
being able to
debatable.
shift your hips. He hasn't really shown ability to run physically yet. He's had a couple plays where he's extended,
When he's full speed, he's kind of like Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Where when he gets full speed, he can kind of hold people off, and he's got that physicality when he's in full stride. But we haven't seen that like point of contact 3 yards downfield type run.
Yeah. And that's really what becomes like, that's how Jonathan Taylor ended up being the back he was at Wisconsin.
Right.
Was you would tackle him at 3 and you're like, okay, we got him. And then he rides you for another 4 and you're like, shit.
Yeah.
Now you're sitting in 2nd and 3. So if that develops, I don't think he lacks any type of talent. I think he's got high end speed. He's shifty. I think he catches the ball well. I think the reason we didn't see as much of him as we probably should have last year is he missed some assignments in pass pro.
Mm-hmm.
And at Iowa, that's just going to get you locked down, especially when we have 2 senior running backs or elder statesman running backs.
I was in the crowd for the Minnesota-Iowa game, and it was really confusing. He didn't play in the second half a lot. But I do recall he was in a pass pro situation, and I think it was his assignment that got blown, and Peters got smoked, and Brian exploded. Like, I've never seen an Iowa coach explode. Like, headset flying, full tantrum for like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And you have to assume it must have been on him because we didn't see him in the second half.
Yeah,
and he was the only playmaker we had on the field.
Yeah.
Laporta was hurt.
Yeah.
And it was like, Brody, here's 10 targets in the second half. Like, you better figure it out. Reganey, here's an out and up.
He's like, I'm playing baseball.
Yeah, exactly. I'm up next, right? For next 2. Yeah. So I similar theme as my first pick. A guy we talked about how defensive players got anointed. Addison Ostrenga.
Yeah, he's on my list.
I think just by position group, and if the coaches are giving you that much responsibility and kind of hype as a freshman, it means that you're going to be probably NFL.
Yeah.
And you're at an NFL position. I don't think we'll see him much this year. I think he'll be kind of like that Kittle in 2014 where he's got some weird wheel route he'll run. You'll see him,
I don't know if he even get that this year.
I don't know if he will.
Yeah.
But I think for a long-term play where once again, we find this kid out of nowhere.
You're going to play baseball at Iowa.
Yeah, he's the 60th rated tight end, 50th rated tight end. We offer him as a junior. His junior film's pretty good.
Yeah.
Then you see his senior film, and he's like, well, this guy's
they looked exactly like Laporta.
A hell of a player. And then all of a sudden he's in fall camp, and he's making catches in the fall camp practice.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, this guy, and they're hyping up in interviews.
Yeah.
It's the same thing as TJ Hall, where the coaching staff, everyone's kind of all in on him at a position where we usually perform well.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing he's not going to be NFL.
Yeah, he's going to have the stamp on him.
Yeah. And now this is where I don't know where I'm
It's over.
And that's a bad sign. For one thing, we haven't drafted an offensive lineman.
Yeah, at Iowa.
We have young and old offensive linemen.
Yeah.
We've recruited plenty of them in the last 2 years that are redshirt freshmen and freshmen I can draft from. Yeah. None of them I'm going, this guy is for
obvious.
Sure NFL.
Yeah.
I liked Mason Richmond a lot, so I'm going to pick him now. He is not...
We had high expectations for him.
Really high expectations, because his high school film is him on kickoff.
Yeah.
Running down on kickoff as an offensive lineman. He played D-end and tight end in high school. I can't remember his tight end. I think it was. And he was at 240, but they played him on kickoff. And he made plays on kickoff. And that is the prototypical Iowa lineman.
Yeah.
You grab this kid who's 240. He's strong as hell. He moves really well. Let's strap 60 pounds on him. He'll be a first-round tackle.
Yeah.
He fit that mold to a T. And if we record this podcast when he first got committed, and I watched that film, I would have probably made some outlandish comment that he's the next Brandon Sheriff.
Yeah.
He's the next Wirfs.
Well, there's a video of him I remember watching a 7-7 where he's high pointing balls in a 7-on-7 game. I'm like, this guy is the most athletic guy we've ever had.
Right.
Robert Gallery.
But like now, after 2 years starting, I'm having a hard time drafting him in a not very talented offense 7th.
Well, I think
and that's
as our top O lineman.
Yeah, and it says a lot about the team. And this year, the offensive line could prove a lot.
Well, I think
you definitely have some base players that are going to be you're comfortable with, but he's definitely the only lineman I really, really want.
Yeah, I think he's a little bit in that Ike Bacher mode where he got in the field a little too early.
Yeah,
I think Bacher played as a redshirt freshman at like 270. I mean, Richmond was heavier than that when he first got in the field, but we just expect a lot more from him.
Mm.
And he hasn't been a dominant run blocker. I haven't seen a single rep of him on the run blocking where I've been blown away by him. And then pass pro has been hit or miss.
Yeah.
So,
but 2 points of that. Run blocking across the entire offensive line has been horrible. Hard to pick out one guy when the entire line's not moving them.
Yeah. When all of a sudden our guard's not blocking someone.
And with Petras back there, I think the tackle play is so hard to judge because you have DNs with an inside move and an outside move. And a statue, a guy who you actually truly want to break the pocket. You want to have him outside the pocket because he's going to throw the ball away or he's going to run out of bounds or slide behind the line scrimmage.
Yeah.
And
he's not running.
No. So I think it's hard to judge our tackles from last year. This is truly just a pick on potential. And I think he, at a position where it's hard to shine, left tackle, we made it the hardest to shine.
Yeah.
It's hard to highlight a guy like that. And if he turned out to be an all Big Ten player this year,
I'd be honorable mention last year. So
I'd be like, of course.
Yeah.
Like that's a guy we loved coming out of high school. Yeah. And he got anointed early. He probably played too early, like you said. He played really light his freshman year.
Yeah.
But now it's go time. You're a redshirt sophomore.
I think a redshirt junior now.
Yeah. So it is 2 years starting. It is clock's ticking. Similar to Craig, where we liked you out of high school. We put time into you. You have experience now.
Yeah.
It's go time. It's time to be an all Big Ten player.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the next pick, I think another guy in the same exact vein, little different arc because he played as a true freshman, is Connor Colby.
Mm-hmm.
He had the unfortunate position of getting bumped out to right tackle last year due to the injuries to DeYoung and I can't remember the other guy who went down. But shouldn't be at tackle. Mm-hmm. And I think was only practicing at right tackle for maybe 3 weeks before having to play his first couple games there.
Yeah.
And that led to, I think, the worst PFF pass blocking grade in the country for the first couple weeks before he got moved to the guard. And to be honest, I did not expect that at all because he stepped in as a right guard as a true freshman and played pretty good football.
Yeah, very good football.
We ran behind him in big moments. You can think of 4th and 2 against Colorado State. We ran a dive right behind him. Grant Linderbaum's next to him. Yeah. But it was to Colby, and we trust him in that moment as a true freshman playing his 3rd ever game.
I remember the last 4 games of the season, his freshman year, we're like, all right, he's turned it on.
Yeah.
Like Colby was a dominant run blocker.
Yeah.
In a bowl game, he had some great blocks.
Yeah.
Nebraska for sure.
I think there's no doubt he's a dominant run blocker. I think he's still, it's again, just there's something going on with Iowa's interior line. Guard play has been so bad for 2 or 3 years now where see a lot of lunging at the point of attack, a lot of swim moves beat us. Seems to always have some kind of miscommunication where we don't know who we're blocking, and then all of a sudden a D tackle's running through, and it just keeps on happening. It's almost silly for us to go into the season thinking something else is going to be different about it because we've just seen such bad interior line play for the better part of 2.5 seasons.
Well, I think we can have higher expectations this year just because truly, even if without those transfers coming in, you were returning 5 starters.
Yeah.
You didn't lose anyone to the NFL. And I think the one group actually in college football that needs continuity the most is offensive line.
Oh, certainly.
So you have the expectation that they would make a leap this year. Iowa fans don't want to make that assumption because
we made that assumption last year.
Truly because we thought we had the bodies.
Yeah.
We thought, Colby, Logan Jones, and Richmond, those are exactly what Iowa wants at those positions.
Yeah.
We didn't take into account, you don't have the experience and time put in.
Logan Jones has been playing center for 4 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do I have one more or does it be back to you now?
I think that's...
We could just call it good there. I don't know if there's anyone else.
I want to make one more draft pick. I think that because I went Richmond, then you went Colby, right?
Yeah, so I have one more.
Yeah,
you can go though. I don't want to take anyone.
Okay, this is I've been very consistent with my picks. Kale Vanderbush, the only guy I actually like, which is like freshman class offense. Look at that class.
Yeah,
look at any position. Find an offensive lineman. Find a running back. I'd say Patterson maybe for.
Yeah, Patterson.
But that's even. I'm not like
you don't want running back.
Running back. Yeah. Who could be beat out in the year.
Yeah.
But Vanderbush, he is the same. Like I said, we cracked the code on tight ends. He is the code crack. Like that, we did it again.
Apparently, he's had some difficult time putting weight on.
Really?
Yeah.
You could.
He was a lean guy.
Yeah. They list him at 6'6", like 200. In high school, he looked even smaller than that.
I'm sure he was.
But he is what we want at that position. Basketball player.
I would actually put a better chance of him playing over Ostranga this year. Just in that
receiving threat of it.
Like you mentioned earlier, that Kittle redshirt freshman year, where he would get up the seam on Ohio State.
Yeah.
That was when Kittle was really lean.
Mm-hmm.
I could see Ostrenga being a guy like you put him on the field, they're going to dismiss this
Third tight end
on the field. They've never seen his number.
Shit, yeah.
I could see that where they break him out in a big game, and Brian does that whole voodoo where he's like, they're not going to expect this.
Yeah. And that's why I picked him, because I'm like, this guy, I think we
have 4 tight ends picked in the top 10. 2 guys haven't even started a single game.
That's the Iowa offense for you.
Yeah, seriously.
And it's such an indication of, I mean, I think Logan Jones deserves to get drafted.
Yeah.
I think if he was at guard, I think he'd be dominating.
Yeah. And
the center position is so difficult because you have that extra thought. You have to snap the ball first, and then you got to play football.
I think I don't know if it'll happen because they've already dedicated so much time to Logan Jones at center, but it'd be very nice if Rusty Feth, the transfer from Miami, Ohio, could step in at center, and he could move Logan out to right guard and then remove all that thinking, just let him play.
Oh, I think that would be...
He's got 2 of the center records for weightlifts.
Yeah.
He's beat Linderbaum in 2 of them already.
Yeah, he's got the quickness, I think they actually NFL, the 2 most important statistics for interior linemen is broad jump and quickness. So are you explosive and are you quick out of the jump? And he fits that mold perfectly.
Yeah.
And leverage.
Yeah.
He's got the size for it. He shows a mean streak at times.
Yeah.
It sometimes comes when we're getting
sometimes
-1 yard.
Sometimes the ponytail is going to call 15 yards on you.
Yeah. But I think at guard, he would just loosen up a little bit. And I think he deserves to get drafted, I believe.
Yeah. I remember when we were playing South Dakota State and we couldn't snap the ball.
Yeah.
Let alone block anyone. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm. That was a new low.
That's the lowest I've ever felt because we came off a horrific offensive season in 2021, and there was some gleaming of hope. There's all this lip service in the offseason about the offense improving.
Right.
Kirk was even making statements like, oh, I'm seeing some growth.
Mm-hmm.
And then we come out and don't score a touchdown against an FCS opponent.
Right.
And those back-to-back weeks of South Dakota State then Iowa State, where we're walking out of Kinnick Stadium soaked with Iowa State fans yelling at us, I was like, I can't take this. We need to start over.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, if we have improvement there, the team, there is no ceiling for the team.
Right. And I think, if we actually have to redraft at the end of the year, the only way Iowa wins 10 games is if we're actually drafting some linemen.
Yeah.
I think you're telling me the skill is the best NFL talent on the Iowa team and the Iowa team wins 10 games?
That's a good sign for college football, though.
It is, but I think
it's just more of an indictment of the O-line.
I think in the end, how Iowa's going to want to win football games is by its offensive line and running the ball in the red zone.
Mm-hmm.
If we're not drafting Richmond and we're not talking high about Logan Jones next year, I think that's going to maybe indicate 8 wins.
Yeah. Well, should we call it good there and
yeah,
move into the recruits maybe next episode?
Yeah.
Well, appreciate you guys listening. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Thank you.